Welcome back, everybody, to a special episode of Photography Tips and Tricks. My name is RC, and today we're just talking about one specific thing. This is an exclusive. It's a first look at the Profoto B1 500 Air TTL light from Profoto. Now, we got a chance to be able to play with this a little bit, and we wanted to set up a video to talk to you a little bit about what's special about this light, why you should consider this light, and some of the features that we think that are outstanding in something like this. Now, the Profoto B1 500 Air TTL is a light that's designed for photographers that do speed lighting stuff, right? So if you're out there shooting with speed lights and doing all that kind of outdoor mobile setup, chances are you're looking for something that's going to have a little bit more power, a little bit more punch. That's what this is going to do. It is a self-contained battery-operated unit that uses a lithium battery to do this. What it does is it performs at 500 watt-seconds. So that is a lot of power inside of a very, very portable space. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about it, right? We're not going to get into a super technical thing, but I do want to talk to you about some of the features that I think are stand out. Right off the bat, 500 watt-seconds. So if you're out shooting on location, let's say you're out shooting in the day, you're doing that kind of stuff, and you're doing speed lighting, right? Chances are you're going to need more punch than just one single light. Middle of the day, it's just not going to cut it, right? One light doesn't necessarily do it. If you needed the same kind of power, that doesn't do it. All right, well, let's just grab a second light. We'll do a second one, a third one, right? We're going to need more than that. Third, yeah, we'll need more. 4, 5, sure, why not? 6, yep, just keep them going. Truthfully, actually, that's probably still not even enough. You'd probably need close to 10 of these to equal the power that you would have for this. So right off the bat, you're putting yourself in a position where you have to have all of this stuff to power this. Now, here's another question. How would you put it all together? How would you get all of this stuff inside of a softbox? What kind of contraption would you set up to link all of these so that they fire all together? Having that kind of power, I think, is essential, and having it inside of one block to do that, I think, is great. This is pretty straightforward. You come over here, you'll press this one button right here, hold it, and it turns on. Now, you have a very, very easy to read layout here. You have one knob. That knob is just dedicated to one thing, moving you up and down in 1/10 of a stop increments. You have a modeling light, you have a sync light, you can go ahead and you can test there, you have a ready light, and it's very easy to use, very, very straightforward, and it gives you all of the power that you need very, very quickly. So if you're a person that's used to doing speed lighting and working with most of this stuff, you'll find that it's very, very straightforward and very friendly to use. I think that that's a big plus. Now, once we have that set, we've taken care of the power situation. So I have tons of power for me to be able to use, and I can move across a 9-stop range for all of this. This will recycle at full power, probably about 1.9 seconds, and if you're using it at lower power, you can go down to about 1/10 of a second. Recycle time is something that's very, very important. Imagine if you had all those speed lights ganged together inside of a softbox or some sort of modifier. Chances are, if you fired all of them at the same time, you're going to be waiting. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then finally it'll be like, oh, all of them are ready. You're ready to go. Having something that's really, really quick at recycle time is something that's going to let you get the shot when you need it. This also has a feature where you can fire this like stroboscopic. It'll do 20 shots, 20 pulses of light in 1 second. So it's got a lot of performance in that space. Now, from a technical standpoint, you can fire this in 2 different types of modes. It'll fire inside of a normal mode, which kind of keeps the color temperature consistent, which is a good feature for Profoto, but it also fires in this action mode. And in action mode, it'll do 19,000th of a second in flash duration. Think of it this way. When you're using a flash and the flash pulses, how fast it does that determines about whether or not you're going to be able to stop any kind of motion. So a runner taking off, a skier moving around, somebody doing a karate kick, those kinds of things, you need something that's going to be fast, really, really fast to be able to capture it. That's where this is key. So power, recycling, flash duration, I think is something that's really, really good. It also has an LED light, right? If you were to charge the battery on this for this LED light, let's say you're thinking video production, that LED light will run probably about 90 minutes. That's a good thing. So you've got a lot of LED lights for modeling lights. Now, we've talked about LEDs, we've talked about the power rating, we've talked about flash duration. This is something else that I think is really cool about the Profoto system. There's no grommets, there's no locks, there's no hooks, there's no, how the heck do you put this thing on? It's simple. It's a collar. It's a rubber collar, and it has this little clamp. That's it. That's all you're doing with it. So you slide in and you clip it. So watch this. Every Profoto light, this isn't just this is part of the Profoto system. So here you have the light set up, and you'll see that these lights have also some markings on them. And what that lets you do is it lets you go in and slide this a specific amount. You'll see that in this reflector, it tells you that the beam angle corresponds to some position. So if you set it at 7, it's a 75. If you set it at 6, it's 35. So you can focus that light as you zoom this in and out. If I were to go ahead and place this, I'll just go ahead and I'll come over here. I'll make sure that it doesn't tip on me. I'm gonna close it, lock it in. Now, having that set, all you do is just slide. That's it. Get it exactly where you want it. As soon as you have that set, clip, done. We're off to the races. So the system is very, very easy to use. It's very, very straightforward. It's very rugged, right? Profoto is that light that you'll see in a lot of commercial rent houses because they can take a beating and because they can perform consistently every time. Now, when we're working with this kind of stuff, a lot of the times 500 watt seconds and higher require a bit of power. This is something that I think is really cool. Let me do this. I'm gonna press right here, and I'm gonna press and hold that for a couple of seconds until ding, 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 off. I like that press and holding because what happens is, what if you have this somewhere and inadvertently something turns that on? You don't want to all of a sudden get to a location and find out that you have no power. So pressing and holding is a good thing for me. Oh, umbrella adapter at the very, very top. Didn't mention that. Think that's kind of cool. But this is the key for me right here. It's a lithium battery. Now, if you take a look at that light, if you take a look at the battery will charge in a specific amount of time, right, based on what charger you're using. But here, I'm gonna pull this off right here, press this right here at the very bottom. That's it, it's off. Little USB for some firmware action, but take a look at the battery itself. There's your battery, and you'll see that right on the battery, you have a charge button. If you were to press and hold that charge button, it'll tell you just how much power you have on this battery. So imagine having a couple of these, you can just set them to charge and do whatever you want, and then once you're ready, you go, all right, all these batteries are charged, we'll come back over to this one section here. There's a groove that you just slide these right into, right? Done. Very, very easy for you to use. So these batteries will give you 220 full power pops, right? That's a lot. That's quite a bit. So chances are when you're in an environment where you're doing in the middle of the day, you're shooting that kind of stuff, that's gonna be a lot of energy, but you have tons of it and you can get extra batteries to do that. But you will get to a spot where you'll need to charge these things. And for charging, you have a couple of different options. If you wanted to wait 2 hours, or an hour and a half, let's say, an hour and a half to charge one of these things, you'll have this charger that we have here. So this is a Profoto battery charger, it's 2.8 amps. Right? So it's a good standard charge. And this is the one that they recommend if you're completely empty on this, right? But if you don't want to wait, you need these things done in an hour, you can go ahead and you can use this one here. So this is the Profoto battery charger, and this is 4.5 amps. This will take your battery to full in 1 hour. You also have a third option. There's a car charger that you can use, and the car charger will take you about 2 hours. So it'll be 2 hours, 90 minutes for the normal one, and then 1 hour for this. Now, all of that stuff gives you 220 pops. It gives you 19 thousandths of a second in terms of flash duration, 500 watt seconds, the equivalent of 10 lights, and all of it is housed inside of one unit here, right? Very, very easy to hold. Right, light. I put it on a bathroom scale at home, and it was just under 7 pounds. I came back and I was like, oh, about that. The sheet actually says that it's 6.6, so I was close. But all of that stuff is really, really neat. right? I like the power, I like the efficiency, but there is an Air TTL section to this. This light is designed for speedlighters that are looking to get into a studio setup and don't want to get freaked out about what do the buttons on the back do? How does this all work? They've solved all of that stuff with Air TTL. We'll take a break and we'll talk a little bit about what that means and how this becomes a game changer.
Scott Kelby here, and welcome to this quick tour of our online training. We have hundreds of online classes for you, covering everything from lighting to landscape photography, from portrait photography to sports. We have classes on weddings, automotive photography, shooting, food, fashion, travel, you name it. And you get access to them all, 24 hours a day, on demand. We use only world-class instructors and the most famous names in photography training today. Our classes put you right there, right beside the instructor, and it doesn't matter whether you're a beginner or a pro because we have classes for every level. Plus, every week we release another brand new class. The most incredible part of this is the price. You get all of this for just $199 a year, or you can pay monthly for just $24.95. 24-hour a day, 7-day a week access from anywhere in the world. These are just a few of the reasons why tens of thousands of people from all over the world subscribe to KelbyTraining.com, and I invite you to join with us today and start learning right now. We'll see you in class.
Welcome back, everybody. RC here with an exclusive look at the Profoto B1 500 Air TTL light. Now, we talked to you a little bit about Kelby Training. We're going to do an in-depth class on how to be able to use this and take it out on the field and actually go through all of the dials and the setups that we can do. But hopefully, this first look will get you started with just what you need to know with the light. Now, we've talked a little bit about the battery power of the light, the action of the light, how sturdy it is, how easy it is to be able to use. But really, the piece de la resistance with this has to do with the Air TTL compatibility of this. Let me talk to you about what it means. You're a speed light shooter, right? You're out there shooting and you pretty much are comfortable with putting a speed light either off camera or on your camera, and you're comfortable with grabbing the camera and firing. And when you fire that, you expect the light to automatically adjust to give you exactly what you need. That's what TTL is, right? It's through the lens. It takes care of all of that stuff for you so that you don't have to think about it. Now, you want to move over to a studio light and you're like, well, how does that work? Like, how do you set it up? Right? You get buttons and dials and you got to start thinking about power ratios. Don't worry about it anymore. They've come up with a system that allows you to do TTL with this. What does that mean? All we have to do is use this controller. With this controller, now you have TTL capability. So you set up your camera, you can have it do whatever it is that you want, and then from here, you have 3 different modes, Group A, Group B, Group C. So you can use multiple lights. Now, when using multiple lights, we have actually single light or multiple light, you have that TTL option. All that means is as soon as you plug it in, as soon as you turn it on, aim it at something, fire. It'll automatically decide how much power you need to make that shot. There's no thinking about it, there's no second guessing it. It takes care of it for you. Now, there will be times when you're using TTL that you'll say, well, that's kind of cool, but I would like for it to be a little bit darker, right? You don't want to have to think about settings and apertures and all of that kind of stuff and futzing here with this. All you want to do is just go, that's nice, I just want it to be a little dark or a lot dark. This is what you do. We'll come back over here to the light and you'll see that you have Group A and it's set to 0, 0. If you tap the energy minus, what that'll do is that will bring the light down in 1/10 of a stop increments. So every time that you press it up or down, it'll do it in 1/10 of a stop. So I'm gonna get this back at 0, and what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna power this on. Now, once I have that set, what I can do is I can power this down here, and, let's go ahead and set this to sync here. Now, when I move this up and down, you'll see that not only is this moving up and down here, but it's also moving up and down in this one section. So I move this up and down. You'll see that the light's moving up and down as well as it moving down here. So we go up and down, Take a look right here in this one section. See? Up, down, up, down. Now, if you were to get to 0, I'm going to press and hold this. Press and hold it, it goes up in full stop increments. So now it's +2, press and hold, back down to 0. So tapping it sets it up in 1/10 of a stops, holding it gives you full stops. And it's all done over the air. So you can go ahead and do this at a really, really large distance. So this will control all of this stuff. You can turn on your modeling light from here. We can go ahead and we can actually test fire this from here. So the days of going up and just kind of fixing it and fiddling with it and then coming back down are done. You can fly this wherever you want with whatever modifier you want, and you can control all of that stuff here. Now, that's all well and good if you want to do TTL. But what if you're someone who's used to doing manual shooting? Well, here, if you look, you'll see that you have the control, and on the control, you have a button all the way over here on the right-hand side that says TTL. I'll go ahead and I'll just press that, and now you're switched to manual. So now this will operate much in the same way of a manual flash. You can step up and you can step down using those energy buttons as you see fit. Here's a cool trick though. Let's say you go out there, right, and you don't kind of know what you're doing, right? You're like, all right, well, I'll just plug it in and it'll just start lighting, and you light as you see fit. And you can dial up and dial down that light and get it exactly where you want it for that one single light. Once you do that, you can just switch from TTL to manual, and now you have manual control. So you can go back and forth with that and operate how you see fit, this one individual light. When you're working with this though, inside of that TTL mode, you should keep in mind that you do have 3 different groups. So more often than not, you'll get into a light scenario where you'll pass one light. You might need an accent light, like a hair light. You might need a third light, like a background light. So adding that kind of diversity, I think, is a really, really good thing. You want to be able to control all of them. You want to be able to control all of them individually, and you don't want to have to run up to all of them to do what you want to do. That operates beautifully. Now, we went out and we started playing with this, right? We were just like, this sounds all well and good. This is all great. Let's grab somebody and just run outside and let's see what something like this could look like, right? So we did this in about an hour. So this is my friend Lindsay. She volunteered to jump in. If you're my friend, you're volunteering for something. I'm throwing you in front of somewhere. So we wanted to do this in daylight, right? No reflector, no nothing. We wanted to be able to have a little bit of accent on the back of her hair. Guess what? We're gonna need some power, right? So one light, we'll move it over, done. So that kind of softness, and what we were doing with this, we were using a 3-foot octabox for that. So pretty straightforward. Let's take a look at the next scenario. We didn't want to move too far. Said, all right, well, let's take a look. Sunlight, really, really dark. I want to do something more with that. Hit it with a light, done. Let's take a look. That's another example from that same. There we go. Dark, not good. Light. We'll move to the next scenario, right? This is an amphitheater that's in downtown Tampa. It looked kind of neat, but I kind of wanted to have that dark blue background, and I wanted her to be lit. Add the light, much better. So that's what it would look like if I had her back towards the sun. Not necessarily the best thing for me, right? But if I were to overexpose, that's not good either, right? Because I'm losing a lot of that sky. Mix both of that in with a light. Now we start looking a little bit better. Once we were done with that, we were like, all right, well, let the light go down a little bit and let's go out and actually play and have fun. So she did very, very well. We went down to the Tampa Theater, and what I liked about it was the fact that I was able to move very, very quickly with this setup. I didn't have to have a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of wires, a battery pack, a generator running around with all of that. I just had this light on a monopod with the attachment, and that's it. I had somebody walking around, or you can just do it by yourself with just a stand, and you move, everything communicates wirelessly. I like its ease of use. I like the weight. I like the power that I get behind it. I like the fact that you don't have to worry about ratios and lights and how to be able to set it up. It operates TTL. Right now, the TTL-C is only available for Canon, and in 2014, they're going to be doing the one for Nikon. So Nikons and Canons will both have that ability to just kind of plug in, set up the light, and it's done for you. And then you can go ahead and control it. So I like the fact that it helps you, and that you can go ahead and take over and do some creative modifications for that. It's lightweight, it powers and it charges really, really fast, and it's got the durability and the consistency that we know of Profoto. Make sure you take a look at the Profoto website. You're going to see a bunch of information out there. Now, I want to give a special thanks to Profoto for letting us take a look at their brand new light, the B1 500 Air TTL, here on Kelby Training. So we'll see you guys soon. Take care.